Thank you, C.J., for those inspirational words. Today at the City Club of Cleveland, we are listening to a special program featuring C.J. Prentiss, Special Education Advisor to Governor Ted Strickland and former state senator. We will return to our speaker in a minute for our traditional City Club questions. Now we would like to return to our speakers for our traditional City Club question and answer period. We welcome questions from everyone, including guests. Holding the microphone today is Special Program Committee Co-Chair Mike Kjellstrom. Now our first question, please.
CJ, like you, I believe in change. It is possible, and I'd like to hear your comments on Obama's program and his choice of Arne Duncan to run education, the link that may happen between the states and the federal program, whatever.
Thank you for that question, Nancy. Very interestingly, before Arne was selected, I did send him our program because my husband directed me. I'm going to take a second of a personal privilege. Michael Charney, will you please stand up? He's been chief cook and bottle washer. He's been chief cook and bottle washer, wheeling me around in a wheelchair, doing everything for me because of the accident. And I just want to thank you publicly. But anyways, we sent our program to him. He has, prior to this, he had also looked at this whole ninth grade dilemma. You've got to understand that we're the first in the nation to begin to zero in on this dropout rate. This is the only program of its kind. And he was in the process of developing the same kind of program, so I thought I'd give him a heads up on that. So I'm really excited that President-elect Obama has selected him. And in addition to that, he's from an urban area. And I think that as we look at this thing, we've got different sets of kids. Whether you want to admit that, we got kids that are from urban areas that have a different set of life stressors than kids from rural areas, even though they're both poor. And so on and so forth in terms of those, while we use the term all kids, we really need to be able to look at this. So, I mean, I want Obama to go further, if I can be very candid with you, than just early childhood. I think that has not been done as well as it needs to be done. Everybody and their brother's been talking about let's invest in early childhood for the last 20 years, and yet we just don't go far enough on that. I mean, what I'm talking with the department now about is when we look at this early childhood, in other words, how many kids in the East High community, in those feeder schools that would go to East High, are left out of it when it comes to early childhood? Are we making sure that we have targeted our resources so that we can make sure that they all in that particular grouping are going to early childhood? So I'm a little bit scared when you talk about early childhood and you don't go further. We can't, as a nation, as a state, risk one track. We've got these kids already in the pipeline, by way of that evidence I showed you, that are already failing, and then we got those that are entering school, so we need to do both.
Yes, I don't want to sound pessimistic or ring doom and gloom here, but all of these commendable programs that you're speaking of, investing in children, that's a good phrase, but these programs require staff, resources, and that requires money. And Ohio is in trouble because the DeRolf decisions, unconstitutional school funding hasn't been corrected, and now we're in a recession. So could you just address the money situation?
Right, and I just want to remind you, being under Republican control for the last 16 years, I dealt with gloom and doom, and you ought to not do this for 14 of those 16 years in the legislature. But I want to direct in this pamphlet, for those of you who have not done that, how much money we spend on kids locking them up. This state manages to find $80,000 a year to lock a kid up in juvenile detention home. and we spend $9,000 on educating him. So really, I mean, you know, and that's the state, and I could just cite different kinds of studies that have gone on, invest here, and you don't have to invest here. And it's real clear. So the question really becomes, how do we, in fact, make those limited dollars work? And see, I think, in my mind, I think we're failing about 25% of the kids in the state of Ohio. Not all, 100%. We've got kids in excellent schools throughout the state. We've got, I mean, you know, some people come up to me from Shaker Heights and say, how come we're not in this program? I said, well, first of all, you got a 100% graduation rate, and your black boys who may be having trouble will be going on to college. So I'm trying to look at those who are going to cost us later. We lost $9.6 million, or billion, well, million, billion, trillion. But over a lifetime of the kids that didn't graduate in 2006, just in terms of loss of wages, taxes, all of that kind of stuff, let alone the productivity and the self-esteem. So I really think that the discussion really needs to be, how do we take those resources and target them? And then, frankly, make the school districts obey the law. Yes. I mean, I'm so angry with, how did the kid that I'm working with now get to where he was? Where was the level of intervention? Where was the level of stop? I can't just promote him to the next grade if he doesn't understand multiplication. Okay.
Hi. I'm a proud teacher at John F. Kennedy. All right, Kennedy. But I just want to first of all commend you, C.J., on the wonderful work that you've been doing. Thank you for finally addressing this issue. My question is, would you please address the myth that white teachers are the only ones who need cultural competence training?
Excellent question. And I think this is really something that even white teachers think. White teachers think, well, you know, it's not the black teachers that need the training, it's the white teachers. You know, it matters not what race you are. The question really is, how do you relate to this child? How do you build, and the key there, you know, in all kinds of studies is about relationships. What kind of relationship are you going to establish with this kid? I mean, when teachers fail half of their kids in June, and they say, I've done my job. The question is, no, you didn't. You failed them. You failed them. What is your responsibility? This whole issue of only black teachers can do it better, it's the same issue for me, and this is a personal thing around me, you know, like only black people can adopt black kids. I think it's a matter of the LOVE in terms of caring, and I think it's the same kind of thing that is brought into the classroom regardless of race. And even regardless of degree and regardless of age. I am finding that many of my teachers that are ready to go are much younger. Some of my teachers that have been there for so long are tired and, you know, and don't believe, and vice versa. So, no, I hope I've answered it succinctly enough, but there is no intuitive, I can teach this kid better just because I'm black.
Thank you, Senator. I want to thank you for your hard work in this area as well.
Wait just 1 minute, Julian. But I'm just thinking here, though, but what's critical is the absence of black teachers in these schools. I mean, this is a travesty. We have all these schools and we have white females. No black men. Where the role models going to be? So we really need to look at that component of it in terms of making sure we have really diverse. If we have Latino kids in the school, we need to make sure we have some Hispanic teachers, and so on and so forth. Sorry, Julie.
No problem.